Vincenzo'S Gold Crypto Investing, where you like, subscribe, and share for a one-of-a-kind, company-made, computer software trading probability-based trading alert, technical analysis, and company philosophy, as I'm your most trusted source for blockchain technology and cryptocurrency ranking news and coin updates here on YouTube and in the cryptocurrency sphere, as I've brought old truth and, most importantly, integrity back into the trading market, right? And you can see Bitcoin, this yellow line was where the Fed started. Let's take a quick look back at what we got going on our trading chart. We got the daily. You can see we have a couple of lines here, right? We have that line and we have this line. And you can see we got to make this a different color. That blends into that one. Why is that changing with that? That's weird. We got two of them changing together. Let me zoom out. I had two lines up here marked for a reason. Not sure why that one's changing with that one. It shouldn't. This should be by itself. Oh, this was March, motherfucker. There we go. That was where the Fed started. Okay, so here's what we got going on here. I don't know what was going on, why that was changing with the other one. So if we zoom out to the daily, which you can see is back here, all the way back here, you can see that's where the Fed started to pump. It was actually at the end of March, right? The Fed started pumping down here, right? And you can see Bitcoin from that point, March of 2020, it pumped all the way from 3,500 bucks and just kept on pumping and just kept on pumping. And then you hit a overhead resistance and you got rejected. And then you came back down to your first bottom. But if you notice when you're drawing these patterns out, this was a falling channel, right? See that? You had falling overhead resistance and you had falling underneath support, forming this kind of channel, right? See that? You had a nice falling channel, a couple of wicks that came out. A falling channel is a bearish continuation pattern, but a bullish reversal pattern at the bottom of it, and that's exactly what you did. And then you kicked on up for the second leg of this mountain double top. You see top one, top two, and then it looks like you could have a sun rising right in the middle of it. See that? That's a mountain double top. And then you started to trade down, and then the Fed started to talk about inflation all up in here, right? And then the Fed finally came out right here where this yellow line was and said that the month following in March, or a month and a half later, we were going to start quantitative tightening and raising of interest rates. And you can see from that point on, Bitcoin is down from the day the Fed stopped talking about thinking about maybe doing something to saying they're going to do something. Bitcoin is down at current price 35% or $16,501, and it's been down as much as 54%, or where is that wick at? It was at 25,000. It's been as much down as 44.69% since the Fed started talking, and since your second double top at current price, you're down 56%. And that was right around the time the Fed thought about, thinking about, maybe talking about doing something. But this yellow line is when the Fed started talking about doing something and said they were going to do something. And you can see you had an initial 32% flush, right? And then we were in this bearish continuation pattern right here. See this? Where you had your upper resistance, upper resistance, upper resistance, upper resistance. But this was descending, right? Or ascending. And then your lower support was ascending. And you say, well, we just had one of those back here. Well, you're absolutely right. Let's get rid of that. Let's take that off. When we look back here, we have this same exact formation right here. See that? Except it was the opposite way. This one was descending. So this is a bearish continuation pattern, but a bullish reversal at the top. And then you would take it from the bottom. You'd actually do a reverse, right? You do a reverse targeted move. You'd go from the bottom to the top. Actually, we'll just do it like this. Go from the bottom of the top, bring it to the point of a breakout, and look at that. It got you right up here to your absolute top, right? And that's exactly how you do a targeted move, right? It got you to your top, where your mountain double top, because it's facing downward. So when they're facing downward like this, when they're descending in a channel, it leaves everyone to think it's going to break down because it's falling down. But they often, but not always, but in a probability base, they break up, right? But then we know when we came to this one, and the reason Vincenzo marked this out, big letters, bear flag in yellow, is because it's uptrending. So this is just the exact opposite. It's a bullish continuation pattern, but a bearish reversal pattern at the top. And that's how we knew that this would be a targeted move to the downside, and the probability said it would break to the downside. And you can look and you go do a targeted move from the top of the pole to the bottom of the flag to the point of a breakout, and that gets you right down there to that late 2022 target of $13,336, right? See that? See how that works? And that's why we had that late season target down there. But we had our initial targeted move of $21,000, right? And we're almost there, and that would be out of this continuation pattern, and what I think is another bearish continuation pattern, just in a smaller version of a bear flag right here. You can see that. And as soon as we break down out of this, as we zoom in to give us some more candlesticks, because the 2-hour time frame has more data points in 2 hours versus the daily, and you can see this is your continuation pattern that you're in, very similar to the longer one you were in up top that led you to here. But I think as soon as this breaks down, you come down to 25,401, and then you break down to the 20,992 targeted move out of the big bear flag, right? See how super simple and easy that is when you're trading with Vincenzo and you're using Vincenzo as a source of information to sidestep and audible the criminal gangsters and banksters that have infiltrated the United States government, the House and the Senate, the governors and the congressmen, the Federal Reserve, and the United States and world banking system in order to rig the markets, right? And that's what they're doing. They're rigging the markets, the criminal banksters and gangsters that have infiltrated the United States government, Federal Reserve, and world and monetary fiscal policies in order to drive this nation into the ground as they're fleece heisting and shysting us. And their criminal gangster cartel is everywhere. They're in the presidency. They're in the House and the Senate. Elizabeth Warren, Dianne Feinstein, Bernie Sanders, right? Joe Biden, right? These are all criminal gangster henchmen. Governor Hitler in Michigan, right? The new mayor of New York, big criminal gangster, right? These are all criminal gangsters, and they're in there to manipulate the markets. Jerome Powell, the head of the infiltrating of the Federal Reserve at the Fed. He's the head gangster and bankster there, right? He's the head bankster right now. Bankster is Jerome Powell, who's manipulating the markets to steal capital and suck capital out of the market because he needs to drive down inflation and contract the overall economy because he's overexpanded it, right? He overexpanded it, manipulating it by printing money and handing it out, and now he needs to get rid of that and try to get more in line with what needs to happen. But a criminal gangster and a market manipulator and a criminal henchman like Jerome Powell and a gangster can never manipulate the market right. He can only fuck it up more, and he's going to continue to fuck it up up, right? Because these criminals you gotta open up your fucking eyes. The government is not here to help you. The worst thing you can ever hear from the government is, I'm from the government and we're here to help. Is to run the other way. That's the bottom line. These criminal banksters and gangsters have hijacked this country, and they've hijacked the world's economy and put us into perpetual slave labor, right? Where they hyperinflate. We're in a hyperinflation bubble, right? And then they give you these crises that crash the market and scare all the peasants out, and they steal their fucking money, right? Like Count Dracula. So that's what's going on there. That's what I would watch out for in Bitcoin. XRP, everybody loves. You can see XRP still in this consolidation pattern like Bitcoin. You got your underneath supports kind of trailing like this, right? You see that? Then you got your overhead resistance, which is kind of horizontal. See that? You kind of got some horizontal resistance, slightly descending. You got a nice continuation pattern here, right? And if you break to the downside out of this, you're going to come all the way down to the top part of the shithouse, which is down there at 28 cents. Let's get rid of that. I'll delete. Right at 28 cents. Let's get rid of that one too. But if you can break out of this, you could try to pump up to that 61 cent major upper resistance. So that's what we're going to be following for here. And that's what I'm going to be looking out for to keep you up to date as we sidestep and audible the criminal gangsters and banksters that have hijacked the United States government, House and the Senate, the presidency, as they manipulate the markets, and they've infiltrated the United States government, Federal Reserve, right? And United States and world banking system, as the banksters have taken over and hijacked. And you can see we had our 19-cent technical target out of this symmetrical triangle. Now we're in this bearish continuation pattern on your way down to finish the last leg of this targeted move until we figure out what the next pattern is. And you can see from the top of this mini consolidation, if this was to break down to the bottom, brings you right down to that 19-cent technical target out of that falling, or out of the symmetrical triangle. That was a neutral continuation pattern that old Vincenzo was beating at the drum, telling you it was going to break down. And it did. Like, subscribe, and share. Peace and love. Peace and love.